Sales were up in Nike's latest quarter and profit topped expectations. The company, of course, has been struggling over the past few years with a product lineup that some observers saw as dated. Let's get more from Zachary Warring, equity research analyst at CFRA. Zachary, great to see you. Thanks for joining us. What jumped out for you with these Nike results?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think the quarter was a really good quarter. It was a needed quarter. Shares are pretty expensive on a valuation perspective, but we do think that, Elliott Hill is doing the right things right now. We really thought the running was the bright spot. Obviously, 20% growth there this quarter, which was well above our expectations. And then obviously just the overall revenue beat was well above the street. So I think overall a really good quarter. I think, the company's headed in the right direction, and they had to beat because of valuation this quarter.
The China sales, though, down around 9%. What's the problem in that market?
CEO talked about it on the call. He said that they're seeing softness there, which they're going to ramp up marketing and try to, refresh some of the stuff there. They said, when they bring athletes to Greater China, you really see a big, like when they bring LeBron, some of their larger athletes, they see a big buying, revenue uptick. So I think they'll do the right things there. I really liked how focused he was on the call. I think he was very aware of all the different brands and all the different categories that they had and the plan for each brand and category and kind of where they were in the process of the turnaround. So I really like where his head's at. I think they're doing the right things. For us, it's just kind of, valuations where it needs to be. And if they didn't have this quarter, you probably would have seen a reset.
The stock up about 6% in pre-market trading, but it's still, as of today, it was down about 22% in the past year. Have tariffs been a headwind, or at least dragging on sentiment for this name?
Yeah, you've seen, across the sub-industry, really, they've been dragging on all names in the sub-industry. And yeah, I think, that you saw a big impact from Nike. They said, 120 basis point impact to gross margin, which was bigger than they expected. And I think, they're one of the companies that's pretty well insulated. They only get 44% of their sales from North America, and they get, the rest in international. So, they're pretty well insulated, and I think more than peers, but they still are seeing a big impact because of the rates. So it is, I think, dragging across the sub-industry, but I do think, Nike's got other issues. They're still working through the inventory issues, which, they saw margins compress about 300 to 320 basis points, and only half of that was from the tariffs. So they're still seeing some promotional activity, trying to clear out that inventory, but we do think they're headed in the right direction.
Right. So the stock in the pre-market today up 5 or 6%, trading at around $74, and your 12-month target price only about 75. So you don't see massive upside here, it sounds like.
Yeah, we definitely don't see massive upside. We think if they can continue to beat and raise, I think the issue is that the forward valuation is off the charts. It's back to where it was during COVID. So, and we do, it was a big beat. EPS was a big beat, and I think they'll continue to do that. But I do think expectations are pretty high, for continued beat and raises. But we do think they're headed in the right direction. This is kind of why we're neutral. We just think, between the mix of valuation and them headed in the right direction, there's a little bit of upside, but not too much.
Have they made a big investment in next year's Soccer World Cup?
They absolutely have. They talked about that on the call. That's kind of where they're going to start to see, some of the new launches between, new products there. And I think that's huge for them. Then you've got the Olympics coming up in a couple of years as well in the U.S. I think those are going to be huge events for them. We think the company's well positioned. We think they're still the number one, apparel and footwear brand in the world. But it does take time for big turnarounds like this. And we just aren't sure where they're going to get like that next level of growth. So, we kind of are in the neutral in the area.
Zachary, you're in the States. We've got less than a minute left, but will you be watching the World Cup?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big football fan, big soccer fan. So I'll be definitely watching.
We will too. And of course, it's in, as you know, US, Mexico, and Canada this time. Zachary Warring, thanks very much indeed. Zachary is an equity research analyst at CFRA.